It's Mon Mothman's HoloNet. We're just posting on it. Welcome back to Mothman News and our coverage for Andor Season 2. I am the opposite of okay. I fear that what happened to me at the end of Season 1 of Andor is going to happen again, and that was a semi-severe, not happy time episode. Yeah, so that's why these videos and reviews are taking longer than anticipated. I have not recovered from what happened last Tuesday. I think about it constantly. I am here to talk about those episodes though, and I'm talking with other people about these episodes on their podcasts and YouTube channels. I'm going to talk about it again and again because I have so much to say. This is not going to be the only video that I make on this arc. This summer I'm planning on doing like a big deep dive on Gorman, on Mon's speeches as a whole. And so, you know, this is just kind of preliminary things that I want to get through. And also a lot of things, I'll be putting place markers in them that will pay off down the road. Yeah, so this video will be covering episode 7, Messenger, episode 8, Who Are You, and episode 9, Welcome to the Rebellion. These episodes came out on the 6th of May. Obviously, spoilers ahead, but also like, hey, doing a review of 3 episodes is a lot more difficult than doing a review video for like 1 episode or a movie, because you have to do it differently, because it's different from how you would do a single episode, because obviously they're broken up. But you can't do it like a movie and pretend like it's one cohesive thing, because it's not. Like, it is, but it's not. Anyway, Tony Gilroy, I'm in your walls, but I have a lot of theories as to why it had to be done this way. Some are very conspiracy theorist. I'm not talking about them publicly on the internet, but I have brought one of them up on Twitter. Yeah. So first up, episode 7, Messenger. We're in 2 BBY now, 2 years before the Battle of Yavin. I love the Ferrex gang, Bix, Cassian, Wilmon, on Yavin 4 all together. Wilmon, I'm glad to see that you're not still with Saw. It was an adventure, but at the same time, you deserve a better story, and I don't like the idea of a character played by a North African actor being with the like extremist group for the rest of his story. That just feels to me. Again, that comes from other friends who have brought that up, and I was like, oh yeah, there's that. So while I saw it coming that he would be with Saw for a while, I was like, I don't think this is how his story is going to end. I'm glad he's still alive. Bix and Cassian behaving like his older siblings, but at the same time, like, you know, there's something more there, right? It's very on the mark though. I love it, because Cassian's just like, where have you been? And Bix is like, he just got here. But also, this is my baby brother. And I really love that they've been able to maintain that relationship through all of this, because it's not super easy to do that. Yeah, I don't like how Wilmon was writing for Luthen. That's because I don't trust Luthen. But at the same time, Wilmon's looking for an authority figure to believe in, and Luthen is kind of providing that. Most of the tension this season with Cassian has been caused by Luthen. And so, you know, I think that overall with Gorman, if Wilmon finds out that Luthen is technically part of the problem, it's probably going to cause a rift between the two of them. But like, you know, Wilmon says to Cassian, you act like Luthen's the enemy, and Cassian's like, that would be easier. And it's like, that's so true, bestie. It's harder to separate yourself from somebody that is like on your side and fighting for the same goals, but you also like don't fully trust them. Because it's just like, they're not the enemy, they're an ally, but at the same time, working with them is literal hell. And then, you know, like that just hits really hard. It's super difficult to know that and have those feelings and be like, yeah, this is totally okay. Bix taking Cassian to a Force healer, Star Wars fans, you wanted your mysticism, here it is. Here it is. And I do love how Andor, it isn't about the mysticism of Star Wars, it's not about the Jedi, it's not about the Force, but at the same time, like at the end of the day, of course, that still exists in the galaxy. Of course, that's still going to play a role somehow in this story. And we know that from Rogue One, right? Like, especially when we bring, you know, Jyn into the mix and Chirrut and Baze into the mix, because, you know, Jyn's got her Kyber crystal that was from her mother. Her father works with Kyber crystals. And then, you know, Chirrut and Baze, as Guardians of the Whills, understand the Force, right? So, you know, it's very interesting the way that Cassian interacts with the Force, and I feel like it's kind of similar to the way that Han felt in the beginning, where he's just like, look, I don't think that there's like some mystical power that controls my destiny. You know, I control my destiny. And I think that's what Cassian is looking for a lot in this show and in this story, is he is making his own destiny. And of course, we know where that destiny leads him because we have seen Rogue One. Cassian has not seen Rogue One, which is a great sentence. I'm going to bring up multiple times in this how the issue here is that these characters have not been watching Star Wars, they have not been watching Andor, and that it comes from Chris Kemshall joking that Beaumontkin's issue with the rise and fall of the Galactic Empire is because he hasn't watched Star Wars. He has lived a Star War. So thank you to Chris Kemshall for that. The problems that most of these characters have is because they don't know the things that we know. I love the idea of Cassian being a messenger who has somewhere to be, because I also feel like Jyn fills that role as well in Rogue One. And like the Force knows Cassian's destiny, right? And it's a wonderfully tragic destiny. Bix is trying to help him, and in doing so, she's able to uncover things that she's wondered about Cassian. She mentions that she's had dreams of him being a messenger. She knows how important Cassian is, right? And we see that later on in this arc as well, where she's making choices like, no, you have something to do, you have somewhere to be. And unfortunately, if I'm here, if I'm with you, you will not be doing these things. And I can't do that, right? Bix, incredibly brave, incredibly strong. I love her so much. A lot of these characters I like a lot more in the second season than I did in the first. That doesn't say I didn't like Bix, but getting to grow with them more has been really special. Because it's like, look where you started, and now look at where you are now. And so yeah, I love Draven's entrance. I love how he loves to interrupt Cassian leaving Yavin 4. He is honestly just trying his best to keep the Rebel base safe and secure. Cassian's acting like a free agent. I love that divide between the two of them, because you also kind of see that even in Rogue One, they're not exactly eye to eye, in that Draven will give Cassian an order. Cassian doesn't necessarily do it. He'll do it to a degree, but he'll only do it as much as he wants to. And I think that that's really important because, yeah, Cassian's great, but he's also not one of those characters that you would point to and be like, oh, he's like a good soldiers follow orders character. I would say that the closest we have to that in this show, outside of Imperial characters, would be Cinta. Is that, like, Cinta will not question an order when it's been given to her. And with Vel being on Yavin as well, I think she's gone through a lot in the last year, and she has come out of it more mature. And I love that she's in this place now. I feel like she's really found her niche. This is the type of leadership that I think suits her the most, is that type of leadership where, you know, she has her role, and it's fairly, like, her role is secure, right? Because when she has to be like, no, I'm in charge here, that's where she runs into issues, right? Whereas doing intakes and scaring the new recruits is very much something that she is very suited to do. I think that we're really gonna see her thrive in the following arc if she gets to keep doing that. Because again, Vel is great, but she has her things that she's not so great at. And one of those is like when things are really rough, she can get stressed out, which is fair. I'm not flaming on her for that. But her leadership style doesn't necessarily mesh in a combat situation. You know what I mean? Again, it worked on Aldani because you had people who had combat experience helping her and following her, and she trusted them. The issue that we ran into in the last arc was that she did not trust the people that she was leading, and so they did not trust her. And the thing about being a leader is that you need to establish that trust. Talking to people, inspiring people, she's really able to do that. Very much like her cousin, she knows the importance of words, which is why she also knows how to wield them to hurt people, like what she did with Sam, right? I don't think she needed to tell Sam that this death was going to stick with him forever. He was already feeling that. He was already scared about what he had done, right? And so, you know, I still think a little bit at the end of episode 6 was a little bit unnecessary. I had people this week being like, oh my god, Sam's gonna redeem himself. I'm like, redeem himself from what? Because it's like, yeah, he messed up, but shit happens. Like, did she yell at Cassian over Nemec dying in the Aldani arc? No. And it's like, yes, I understand. She loves Cinta. However, I love Cinta. I didn't want her to die. I didn't think she was going to make it through this season, but I did not want her to die. And also, she had a stupid death, but that happens sometimes. Sometimes a character just has a really stupid death, and there's nothing we can do about it. So, Wilmot and Cass using like Ferrex and Stone and Sky, saying it to each other, that's gonna forever have my heart. I love it. Gorman, my beloved, my sweet beloved planet, I love you. This is why I haven't recovered. The way that these like newscasters, basically propaganda machines, are talking about Gorman and the gore is truly horrendous. Like, I hate it. There is not a single thing about it that I like. The propaganda is incredibly strong here. They've been working on this for a couple of years now. And then you add the blockade of 5 BBY into it as well, and it's just like, it's like, why do the Gore hate the Empire? I don't know, maybe because you've actively starved them and you built a giant compensating for something building, and now it's casting a shadow on a memorial to something that you fucking did. Like, gee, I wonder why. I hate what the Empire did to Gorman, what the Empire was doing for years to Gorman. Like, again, the Gorman massacre did not happen in a vacuum. It was not one single moment. There were things building up to this. And when people were like, oh, but each arc was going to be like 1 year and the Gorman massacre is going to take 5 episodes. Yeah, it was episodes 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not the most horrendous way that I had to survive that, because I thought it was going to be like 1, 3, 1. That would have killed me, right? That would have killed me. I'm already dead. Tony, stop. I'm begging. But also, I want you to come back to Star Wars because I love you. And with the discussion about like resettling the population of Gorman, they never intended to do that. The intention was to kill them either quickly in the immediate massacre, or slowly by making them live on an unstable planet. Like, that was the plan. That was the plan. Resettling the Gore would have been too kind for the Empire to do. Right. We also know that they don't like to have to do that because that would cost money and resources. And they also don't care about the people. We also saw it with Wobani. the Empire fucked Wobani, and no matter how much Bale, Mon, and any of the other senators that were trying to help were like, we need to do something, we need to help these people, the Empire was like, or we could just like build labor camps. That sounds like a great idea. Last week they were talking about a 38% increase in crime on Gorman, and now they're talking about an escalating terror campaign. That's all just fucking made up. Like, the Empire is playing the victim here. And the infighting between the front is very interesting to me. Like, yeah, Caro's ways aren't working anymore, but they're still good ideas, right? And when Caro says, like, I've learned how good they are at provoking us, like, oof, damn. It's like, hats off to the entire Gorman cast, because I love you. Like, the young people from the front, Enza, Dylan, Sam, Lisa, Darina, they're all ready to fight. They're ready to fight because they were radicalized at a very young age. Most of them probably, like Thela, lost people in the Gorman massacre, right? Lezine being part of the front properly now was also really important to me, and it felt like a natural progression to his character. Like, I think, you know, I just think that it made sense, because we see him in the last arc, episodes 4 through 6, and he's at that town hall and he is passionate. He's like, we know what the Empire is doing. This is what they're doing, right? And Caro's just like, please calm down for 5 seconds. Like, we'll talk about, okay, all right, you're just gonna keep going. Give someone else a chance. No, okay, right? And so naturally, like, this powerful, strongly opinionated person is going to want to do this sort of thing. And I like that he was kind of the voice of reason between, you know, the youngins being like, we're ready to fight, and Caro being like, can we just calm down for 5 minutes? And just the way that Lezine came through and actually did so much good in episode 8 is really important as well. I think that what he did in some ways is going to help the galaxy see the truth about the Gore. And I hope that it happens. I hope that this will help undo the Imperial narrative. On that, I think there's a reason that, like, Enza is smaller in size and seemingly more innocent than the others. And yeah, part of it is her privileged upbringing, but it's also meant to lean into what happens between her and Cyril when he grabs her. It's not the first time that we've seen Cyril grab a woman to, like, make her listen. It's like, I'm just looking at this thing. You're literally holding it in your hands, but, like, grabbing a woman, being like, you need to listen to me. But it is the first time that we've seen him do it while he has the upper hand in the situation. And he is in control here, right? He is part of the occupying force on Gorman, and her slapping him could have so many major repercussions for her, for the people that she loves, right? As Cassian says to her in episode 5, when he's like, if I wasn't the person that you think I am, you could have just put yourself and everyone you care about in a cell, right? And so, yeah, like, and then you add in the curfew and the checkpoints, and it brings back to when Cyril's like, yeah, my movements in Palmo aren't restricted. And it's like, wouldn't that be nice? And again, like, with Thela, because I could talk about Enza and Cyril and how much I hate that shit for a decade and a half. Please stop shipping it. I've seen people ship it, and it's horrendous. Occupier/occupied is not a good ship. Cut it out. Also, she has a boyfriend who violently hates that cop. Like, there is a lot more that happens later, and a friend of mine brought it up, and I'm going to bring it up when I'm talking about episode 8. But anyways, yeah. Sela, his motivations, wasn't 100% sure of them in the last arc, but I was really hoping that he would be part of the Gorman front, that he would be something of a rebel, and he really shows it here, right? It's just one of those little acts of thing. He's just like, I mean, she's gonna log it in. Probably. I wouldn't. Even though he's probably just like, Ronnie Guja, last year your name was Varian Sky. Okay, whatever. Bro, I'm not paid enough to care. This hotel, mostly empty. I could do with a guest who can do something. Yeah, and I love that about him. Wilmon being with the front in their headquarters. They're all there past curfew, and I just really love that. I feel that, like, for many of them, because again, like, not only do I headcanon a lot of them lost their parents in the Tarkin, or like lost a parent at least in the Tarkin massacre, I also headcanon that like that little group is kind of a family to them, and that their headquarters is like a home to them. And this kind of really like leans into that, because it's just like, if they got caught, they'd be like, well, we are home. We're exactly where we're supposed to be. Really glad, and I hope that the Empire never found their headquarters. Cyril and Dedra. That shit's weird. Borderline uncomfortable. Yeah, it was never gonna be a healthy relationship or anything akin to that. The best we could hope for was weird. Like, when Dedra kisses Cyril, I was shocked. I literally jumped. But it was just so weird. Because I know people are like, oh my god, the hottest kiss in Star Wars. That shit was the driest kiss in Star Wars. But that's also, like, on Denise and Kyle for just being such great actors to be like, this kiss would not be something hot and sexy. This is gonna make people uncomfortable, and that's what we're going for. After the kisses from last week, this one was just interesting. Weird. And then on the Imperial side, I honestly feel like Dedra kissing him on the cheek in, like, episode 5 or whatever it was literally sexier than whatever the fuck happened over there. Yeah, on the Imperial side of Gorman, bringing in those cadets was intentional. Not just as an insult to the Gore, but they knew that these children would not be able to adequately handle the situation and would react the same way that an uneducated enforcement group always acts. Shoot first, don't ask questions. Yay, it's fascism and a police state at play. Again, parallels to our real world. Thank you, Andor. That's exactly what I signed up for. I do love Erskine being a Chloris hater when Mon's like, oh, I'm gonna request a new driver, and Erskine's like, don't. They might send someone smart. I'm like, get his ass. Get his ass. He and Mon they are that duo, and I love them. Especially because of the way that this season has really built him up as a really good and enjoyable character. Because, again, he's a glup shitto from Rebels. His personality trait was Mon Mothma's senatorial attaché. That's still a significant portion of his personality, but he's more than that now. He's more than that. And I really love seeing all the love for him, and I hope that only good things happen to him in his life. Erskine Samaj, my baby girl, he's never done anything wrong. I've loved him since Rebels. I do want to talk about Dacia Ron real quickly. I say real quickly as if I'm ever going to shut up about this man. He knows there's nothing more he can do for his people, and I don't know, this arc had such really like hard-hitting lines in places that you would and wouldn't expect. And one of them is, I feel like this one was kind of expected, when he says they don't even bother to lie badly anymore. I suppose that's the final humiliation. Like, hi, real world parallels. Can you stop punching me in the face? Because, like, damn, that's a good line. The way it speaks volumes to so many things that are going on around us is absolutely vital. Governments lying, and they're not even making a real effort. And personally, I'm insulted when that happens, because I'm like, do you think that we're that stupid as to believe you? But then they act like we're crazy when we're like, actually, you're fucking dumb, and that's a lie. And then we're the bad guys? Okay. I really hope that people take Senator Oren's words and really let them sink in. Not just here, like, not just the things he's saying here, but, like, later as well. And I love the way that he expresses his gratitude to Mon. It quite literally feels like a goodbye. And my manager at work, when he first watched episode 7, I was like, we were talking about it, and I was like, that felt like he was saying goodbye to her. And he was like, it felt like he was saying goodbye to her. And I was like, we're on the same page. And he looked at me and he was like, I know what's coming. And I was like, I know you know what's coming. I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna tell you. Yeah. Darcy knows that he's on borrowed time. He has to know this. He's not stupid. While we don't see a lot of the Senate in the first episode of this arc, or at all in the second, it is more than made up for in the last episode, which is incredibly Senate-centric, and it has to be. I love to see it, even though made my heart race. More on that when I actually talk about episode 9. Overall, of the 3 episodes, this one had me the least stressed, which is wild, but that stress and anxiety builds and grows literally every time, because I know what's coming. I know what happens. The show is very good at making every moment count, and in this arc especially, the viewer is not given time to breathe at all. This arc lacked the levity that certain aspects of the first 2 arcs had, and that's more than okay with me. I really see the way that things are shaping up to bring us to the end, and we only have like 3 episodes left. This season, Andor's done a really excellent job of packing more than just a punch. They know how to emotionally destroy this fandom, and watching my friends cry week after week really validates me and my tears. No matter what comes in the last arc, though, I feel as though this arc may be my favorite of the entire series. It's heartbreaking. I cried just thinking about it. I feel like I might start crying right now. But at the same time, it's just that good. It's so poignant to me. I never want to come to a point in my life where this arc doesn't have an emotional impact on me. Episode 8, Who Are You?, is one of the most stressful experiences I've ever had while watching Star Wars. I appreciate it. Then again, I have been literally stressed. Even before this season started, I was like, you know what's already stressing me out? The Gorman Massacre. And then last week, I was like, I fell in love with Gorman, and now I'm extra scared of the Gorman Massacre. Great. The gravity of what was happening here was really felt, and it didn't let up. Personally, when I was watching it each time, because I've watched it several times, because I guess I just love torturing myself, I would not pause this episode. For the people who live realities like this every day, they don't get a break from it, and I really wanted to capture that in this moment. It's very rare that I'm like, I'm not going to pause this. I've paused like every other Andor episode at some point or another. I've paused the movies. Otherwise I'm usually able to hit pause. not this episode though. And you know, that's because it's just the way that I'm like, it's not supposed to give me a break. I'm not going to take one, right? So I'm like, if I've got to pee in the middle of this freaking episode, I'm holding it. Because my suffering is not matching Enzor Island's suffering. And yeah, baby girl, I love you. My tissue supply really hated seeing this arc coming, especially this episode. Nothing could have prepared me for this. But I was absolutely not shocked at the way that the Empire handled this situation. It's just like colonial and imperial powers in our own world, snuffing out resistance, snuffing out a group of people who will not turn a blind eye to what has been done to them, who will not lay down and take it. And Gorman put a target on themselves from the moment they decided to build that memorial to the Tarkin massacre, because it was a symbol of, we will not forget what you did to our people. And that is so important to me. Again, at a later time, I want to do a full deep dive on Gorman, but that will probably not be until the summertime after the season is finished. More on that later. I'm actually going to briefly discuss it. I am probably going to be doing a small series of videos on Gorman and the lead up to the Gorman massacre. Real world sources, Star Wars sources, all of that. It's not going to be a fun time, but I hope people watch it anyways. The videos probably won't be too long. I'm hoping that a few of them will be able to be posted on TikTok. A few of them. But right now, I'm doing some research on like the French resistance in World War II and linking that to the Gorman front, you know, architecture-wise, historical, like Star Wars canon-wise, all of that. Yeah. That's all I can tell you for now. Again, plans could change, but I'm still gonna do it. Before I fully get into this episode and talking about it, I want to point out that no, Mon Mothma is not in this episode, and there's a very good reason for that. This episode has like a very, very specific focus, and she does not have a place here. She has a place in the before and the after, but not the during. Crazy for me to say this, but had she been in the episode, I might have been upset about it. The following episode is incredibly Mon-centric. That makes up for it. You know, it's Mon-centric as it should be, but this episode's story is about the victims of the Gorman massacre. And in a lot of ways, I was like, it's similar to me, like in season 1, episode 6, The Eye, when they're on Aldhani for the majority of the time, and then only at the very end do you see Luthen and Mon and the way that people are reacting to the news coming out of Aldhani, right? This episode will also be getting its own space later down the line, because there's just so much to say and no way for me to get through everything that I want to say. There are notes that I have saved for later for this episode. The music in this episode alone, more than enough to make me cry. I know Brandon Roberts cooked with the gore music, but I cannot bring myself to play the volume of the soundtrack from these episodes because I can't emotionally handle it, even though I love it. I don't know, maybe I should have a little break from watching this set of episodes every single day. I have spent so long watching these episodes and thinking about them, and it's a lot. But also, like, I just can't play the music because it is too hard-hitting for me at the moment. Star Wars has always had amazing music, right from the very beginning of the series when John Williams cooked with the music for A New Hope. But I feel as though Andor, across the 2 seasons with Nicholas Britell and Brandon Roberts, it has really stepped up the game. They're both phenomenal. I love it. Denise Gough, Anton Lesser are such phenomenal actors. Their performances here in this episode are chilling, especially Denise Gough's. Dedra's character is great. She's not a good person. And anyone who had any doubts about that should really have all of that shattered here. Again, a lot of it has to do with she was propaganda, like she's been living in a freaking world of propaganda. You know, she is part of a cult, essentially. Like, there is so much that goes into that, but she is not a good person. Her panicking when talking to Partagaz, you know, a friend of mine did bring up, hey, Dedra's probably still got, like, PTSD from what happened on Ferrix, right? And I was like, oh, shit. But also, the fact that she's panicking shows that she has no power, which is the scariest thing to Dedra. She does not care about the people of Gorman. She cares about holding on to that power. And it brings back the idea from the first season that power doesn't panic. And controversially, I am not going to talk about that scene between Dedra and Cyril here, because I do want to save that for later as well. I want to give that its own space because I do have a lot to say about it, and I want to make sure that I give it the nuance it deserves, and I want to make sure that I am handling this with as much maturity and understanding as possible, because I've seen a lot of really awful takes. Dedra giving the order for the Gorman massacre. I know it was speculated that she would after the trailer. I was using some weird triple reverse psychology to be like, maybe not. Because I was like, oh, I mean, everyone's going to think that she's giving the order for the massacre, but that's what they want us to think. But also, Tony knows how incredibly smart we are. And he would be like, oh, their first thought would be, oh, she's, you know, doing the Gorman massacre. But then they don't think we'd put that in the trailer, maybe. So we actually did put it in the trailer. And I was like, but maybe that's how he wants us to think. So it was just a battle of me trying to get into Tony's head, which is never good for anybody. Don't try to get into Tony Gilroy's head, okay? Bad idea, probably. Yeah. But I always did know that there was a chance. I was like, maybe this is what it is on the surface. I did, however, see the Empire firing the first shot against one of their own as an excuse to start killing, because why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? And you know what solidified that for me? It wasn't actually the action of them doing it. It's when Dedra says, you are aware that the insurgents at this point have weapons. And Partagaz says, we're counting on it. And I'm like, oh, so you need them to have weapons. You need to make it look. Even though anybody with a brain could tell from the trajectory of that shot. But of course, no one's paying attention in a crowd, right? Anyways, my heart breaks for Kara Rylance. I love him. He's amazing. Richard Semmel crushed it with this role. I'm just in awe. He's just trying so hard to protect his people, but he fails. I am glad, though, in the end, that he's the one that killed Cyril. For a man so opposed to violence, that also means he knows when the answer to the question, violence, he knows when the answer has to be yes. And now is that time. In Star Wars, the pacifist characters having to take up arms in moments like this is always impactful, right? And sometimes, you know, their weapon isn't a blaster. Sometimes it is their voice, right? All of the pacifist characters have a weapon of sorts at their disposal that they use when absolutely necessary. And yeah, I would argue that Kara Rylance is a pacifist. He doesn't like the fact that he has to do this. He probably really despises it, given that, you know, he sat on the floor and he just like drops the blaster at the end. But he knew that there was no other option there. I don't think he made it out alive, and honestly, after this, I don't think he would want to. His home, his family, everything he has been taken from him violently. And, like, typically I hate off-screen deaths, and I live by the rules of, like, no body, no crime, but I can't do that here. I cannot do that with this episode. I saw enough characters and people that I love die. I don't need proof of death for any of the gore, really. Because I'm just heartbroken. Anybody that I don't see in the last arc, I'm gonna be like, yeah, you're dead. I'm so sad. Thela, the bellhop from the hotel, being the one to say rebellions are built on hope, is such a gut punch to me. I think that it's really important that the line that we know and love from Rogue One comes from a Gore, because this event has so much of an impact on Cassian. It has so much of an impact on the way that the Rebel Alliance forms, because it is why Mon leaves the Senate. It is why so many of these pieces fall into place. The Gore are gone, and they are probably going to be erased from the galaxy along with their world and their culture by the Empire. Their legacy and sacrifice will live on in the hearts of those that knew them and knew the truth. But will anyone know where those words came from? Like, how would they know? Goodbye, Thela. I love you. You were wonderful. But also, if you're a fan of the Star Wars comics, you know that following A New Hope, following the destruction of Alderaan, the Empire hunted down any Alderanians that survived by being off-world and killed them. And that was a huge part in the Princess Leia comics, where she meets Edmund Verlaine, another Alderanian. And I just feel like this is going to happen with the Gore as well. The first one that we really see on screen with that, I think, is Daciaran in episode 9, when he's being taken from the Senate by the stormtroopers. Because why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? Lazine really comes out and tries to help in the best way that he can. For all of his seemingly hot-headed approach in episodes 4 through 6, he really has become that voice of reason that I referred to him as earlier. Being angry, being upset, all of that is going to play into the Empire's hands in this moment. They can save the anger, they can save the hot-headedness for when they are together, when they are amongst allies, and get all of that across. But in front of the Empire, they need to be calm. They need to not feed into the Imperial narrative. And with that, you have to participate in genuinely peaceful behavior and not give them what they want. You cannot play into their hands while you are dying. And like standing together and singing their anthem is, I think, the perfect ground between quiet resistance, like what Caro was preaching, and the very overt protesting that was happening before he started singing, right? He was able to find the balance between, we can quietly resist by reminding them who we are. This is who we are. We're not the ones with blasters. We are peacefully singing our anthem. That is who we are. We are the Gore. Like, it's just so good. I honestly do think that Lazine knew that they were doomed, and this was his last-ditch effort to try and preserve the peaceful ideals of the Gore in the eyes of the people. His death was not going, he refused to die while giving them what they wanted, which is another key thing with Andor as well. Like, do you want to die fighting them, or do you want to die giving them exactly what they want from you. His death, Lazine's death, was not going to be used as a way to paint the gore in an ugly light. Lazine and Caro, as far as we know, both alive at the end. Again, I don't think that lasts. As I said earlier, I cannot go by my no body, no crime rules for the gore. It's just too painful. I could literally talk about Enza and Dylan for hours, literally, but still, I'm only going to talk about like 2 things with them here. First, when they're singing, and the translation on the screen says, "Let me spend my every day there," they're talking about home, but that is when Dylan wraps his arm around Enza and he like presses his cheek to the top of her head. Ooh. I'm weak for that. Try and convince me that that woman is not his home. The second thing I'm going to mention is that when Dylan is shot, he barely makes a sound. I think he like groans as he falls, which, damn. But he doesn't scream until Enza is thrown by that KX droid, and then he can't look away from her lifeless body, and it looks like he's going to frickin' cry. Forgive me, or I mean, I really don't care if you forgive me or not, but I ship it so hard. I cannot get over this. I will not get over this. I think that these little things are super important because they do not have enough screen time. Their relationship is never even confirmed on screen. It's just in their Star Wars databank entries, which is insane. Y'all don't need to have like a confirmed relationship on screen to be literal soulmates, which is amazing. Could be one of the greatest love stories in Star Wars, I think. Could also be one of the saddest love stories in Star Wars, I also think. I do think that perhaps Lazine should have just dragged Dylan's body over to Enza, because separating them, pulling them from her, it just felt so unnecessary to me. I was like, why didn't you just leave him with his girl? Please. I don't know. No hate to Lazine. He probably just didn't want to leave someone who was still kind of breathing in the square. Because that could have ended really badly. Especially given Dylan's role, because if they decided to take a prisoner, they could have taken him, patched him up, and tortured him. And I don't want that. Yeah. The showdown between Cyril and Cassian is great. Only Cassian Andor can pull Cyril Karn from his moment of clarity. Poor Cassian is so confused, though. He doesn't know who or why. He doesn't know who this is or why he's in this hand-to-hand combat suddenly with this guy. Because everyone else has, like, blasters and space Molotov cocktails. And this guy is just, like, punching him. It's so funny. But again, he's like, I'm gonna do my best here. Like, what the fuck? Like, you want to start a fight with me? Yeah, sure, bro. I'll fight you. He just literally breaks Cyril with the last words that Cyril Karn ever hears, which is, "Who are you?" And I just think it's so hilarious because Cyril has been obsessed with Cassian for like 4 years about finding him, bringing him to justice. It's literally been a significant portion of Cyril's life. And yet Cassian doesn't know who the fuck he is, because Cassian never saw his face. He only saw the back of Cyril's head in that first arc of Andor. I'm sorry. Yeah, so why the fuck would Cassian know who he is? I'm sorry. Yeah. But Edie believing the propagandized story of her son's death is horrific. And yet it makes total perfect sense, because her love for and her reliance on the Imperial propaganda machine, I mean, Imperial news, has been mentioned this season. She really doesn't know what's going on. And it's just like, yeah, sure, her son was shot in the head by a member of the Gorman Front, but at the same time, your son physically assaulted his daughter. And something had to happen between episodes 6 and 7 for Enza and Caro to be like, we do not trust this motherfucker anymore. Like, bro, the way that Enza goes from like, hello, we can do some good together, to, well, take a good look then. Like, fuck. Girl, what the hell did he do? I need to know. There is nothing I could say that is profound about Drina's broadcast. So many have already drawn parallels between this and the end of Rogue One, this and calls for help from people in our real world who are dying and just hoping that somebody hears them and can help. And I'm not gonna lie, it genuinely feels like both of those things. Like, the galaxy has been turned against the Gore for the very purpose of leaving them with no one who would help them in this moment. Allowing a government or regime to isolate us and divide us literally only serves their interests. I'm happy, I'm beyond happy that Drina makes it out of this one, and I hope that she makes it to the end because I love her. I don't want her to die. I lost way too many of them in the span of like 45 minutes. And I just really love the Gore so much. And I only had them for like a week. If this episode doesn't make you feel something, I don't even know what to tell you. My tissue boxes and I could not relate. There is not a moment of this episode that doesn't make me feel a myriad of emotions, and none of them are happy. This episode deserves literally all of the praise ever, and I hate to sound like a normie, but it might be one of the best episodes ever of any Star Wars series. It's just that good. No, watching it multiple times does not make it easier. Thank you very much. If anything, it makes it hurt more, because then you start to notice more details, because you're looking at different things to try and not watch one of your favorite characters get yeeted across Palmo Plaza by a frickin' KX unit, and now you're like, but at the same time in the back of your mind, you're like, I like K2SO, I don't want it to have been him, but then you're like, it could have been him, there's a 1 in 6 chance. Am I a K2 hater now? Is he suddenly being hated on by me? I don't know. I don't want to hate K2. I love K2. I've loved K2 for like 9 years now. But if he killed my baby girl, I'm sorry, K. Like, I can't abide by that. Yeah. If anything, it makes it more painful, because you have to come to terms with the idea that nothing will be okay for your favorite characters in this episode, unless your favorite characters are Drina, Will, and/or Cassian. And they don't let up between this episode and the next, which is incredibly important as well, because this shit happens real fast in the real world. And none of these events happen in a vacuum in Star Wars or our world either. It's very important this season that things happen quickly, because we're only in, these arcs are like 2-3 days, and then we move on to the next. Episode 9, Welcome to the Rebellion, probably one of my favorite things ever. It's incredibly Mon Mothma-centric. I love it when Star Wars acknowledges her importance and lets Genevieve O'Reilly be the powerhouse of an actress that she is. I love when things are Mon Mothma-centric. I'm like, hey, this is just like me for real. Yeah. If she doesn't get an Emmy, I might riot. Now, there is an asterisk with that. The asterisk says, I will accept if another Andor actress takes it home, but no one else. Those Emmys better freaking be in the Andor cast's hands. I need it. I need Brandon Roberts to get a fucking Grammy. Like, and I think everyone should be allowed to do shots out that Grammy. Yeah, I've paused a few times. Let it be. I don't want to yap for like an hour straight. give me a break. The opening of episode 9 just has me in a chokehold. Bail coming out to see Dusty getting arrested for just trying to acknowledge what happened to his people. It hits me right in the chest. And then cutting to Bail when he's like, it's my people today and yours tomorrow. The fuck? Yeah. And then Raphael Roger Levy posted Star Wars Explains, like, post with that to his Instagram story, and then Benjamin Bratt did the same thing, and I'm like from Raphael's, and I'm like, can y'all fucking not? I can't handle this right now. Yeah. Bail and Mon's discussion about her needing to make a speech and him staying behind on Coruscant is just so, it reeks of how genuinely they care about each other and love each other. Benjamin Bratt, again, at first I was not completely sold on you as Bail because I was sad that Jimmy would not be back this time. But I turned around so quickly. He is wonderful as Bail, and the chemistry that he and Genevieve have here is astounding. Even in their scene later on in the Senate, these two characters are able to show just how genuine, like, their genuine connection. And I'm here for that. We love to see it. I'm glad that they didn't cut Bail out of the show, as some people have been saying they should have, because, like, Tony Gilroy's right. Bail is super important and the show does need him. And there's a lot of things that go into that. I have friends who are like, respectfully, I disagree, and I'm like, cool, we're having an adult conversation about this. But that is my opinion. I'm like, I would rather have a recast and allow this wonderful legacy character to be played by somebody else over a weird freaking deepfake AI shit. And Tony Gilroy's an AI hater, and he and I are on the same level for that. I do not fuck with AI. So I'm glad that we got Benjamin Bratt instead of some weird AI, Uncanny Valley, Jimmy Smits-esque thing. So yeah. Clea talking sense into Cassian about the rebellion and what it takes is also super brilliant. Cassian is a rebel, but at the same time, Clea has been more directly involved for a lot longer than he has. If he's tired of it all, imagine how tired she is. Imagine how tired the others are. You know, the way that she's able to get through to him about what he's going through, like, she does understand. Like, this shit is not easy. Revolution and rebellion, not for the weak. It is tiring, but that doesn't mean that it's time to just give up, throw in the towel, especially when you've done so much good. Like, you have to keep going, and it sucks, and you can get burnt out, and all of those other things. But, you know, you just kind of have to keep going. And, you know, it's very much that, like, nothing that is worth doing is easy, and this is just one of those things. Ultimately, of course, he doesn't leave, but that is because of the women around him pushing him to the cause where he needs to be. The women of Andor are actually the heroes, and Star Wars Celebration LA, you should let my friends and I do our little panel on Bix and Jin and Dedra and Mon that we want to pitch, because it'll be really good, and we'll all dress up as the character we're talking about. You should let us do that, because we'll just celebrated 10 years of Rogue One. I can't believe Rogue One turns 10 next year. Anyways, I feel as though Clea succeeded here in a way that Luthen wouldn't be able to. Clea, throughout it, is still very level-headed when she's talking to Cassian. You know, even later at the Senate, she's the one talking about the present issues. She's the one who is to tell them what will happen if Mon gets arrested. That isn't to say she doesn't care about other things, like will Mon being safe, but she's much more able to focus on what the matter at hand than engage in discussions about things that are, you know, like, she can talk about things that are more urgent and, like, things that they can actually do something about in that moment, rather than getting stuck on, like, oh, there's nothing we can do here, let's talk about this for 20 minutes. Keep those men in line, Clea. Keep them in line, girl. The Erskine subplot, oh god, this had me so worried for him, bro. I hope that the next arc will see that trust between Mon and Erskine, like, rebuilt. Or, because Erskine genuinely cares about her, and I've always thought this about him. I know that, and I do believe that he felt as though he was acting in her best interest. I literally have an Erskine Samaj bracelet that I made, and then this one's a Gorman one, and it's little French flags. Anyways, but I'm ride or die for Erskine Samaj. And I do believe that he was acting in her best interest, getting additional resources to protect her when he started working for Luthen. Because I feel like that would have definitely been a big seller for Luthen, being like, you know, I have these resources that you could use to help keep her safe. And Erskine's like, bet. A rocket launcher. He definitely didn't get a rocket launcher from Luthen, but it would be cool if he did. Yeah. I don't care about the whole, like, retconning about the speeches, because I'll go into that more later, not in this video, in another video. But retconning Erskine's Rebels storyline would have been unforgivable. The speeches I can overlook because I have theories, and I want to get into that a little bit more, and I want to do that all in my big deep dive onto, like, into Mon Mothma's speeches from the Senate, because I think that there may have been some doctoring. And I mentioned this a little bit in Droids Are Welcome Here when I came in to discuss episode 9. I recorded it yesterday. I don't know when it's going to be put up. Anyways. But yeah, I think that there may have been some doctoring to kind of make her seem more calm, and so as to not fire up the people of the Empire. I have theories, I have thoughts. Mon on the brink of tears talking about Tay, like, okay, now I might believe that he's gone. Yeah. Again, I love no body, no crime rules, but I don't know if we won here. Maybe rest in peace, Tay Kolma. I don't know. I want real confirmation as to what is the truth. Mon sending Erskine away did make sense, even though I hate it, but I respect that he just, like, took it on the chin and didn't stop trying to protect her. When he was talking to Clea over the comms, he did sound very upset, which is reasonable because he does really care about her. And now he's just like, I'm still gonna protect her, so. She's like one of my favorite people. This is my best friend. And Mon's like, I don't want to see you right now. You made me very upset. And he's like, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. Mon felt betrayed. I felt betrayed. But then Erskine finding Cassian and still doing what he can to protect Mon, which he wouldn't have known about the Cassian thing without Luthen telling him. So I'm like, maybe Luthen did come in clutch with all of this. Luthen, you may have earned a point there. You're still very much in the red, though. Yeah. It really shows his true motivations, right? Because he could have been like, you know what, screw this. She doesn't want me around anymore. Fine. Erskine Samaj loves her. He reveres her in a way that I think puts him, in my mind, on a similar level to Padme's handmaidens. If Erskine Samaj had the power to be a decoy Mon Mothma, he would fucking do it. But she's like, you're too tall, you don't fit into any of my clothes, and you're obviously a man. And he's like, I just want to help. Just want to protect you. Now you're telling me no. I love him. I really hope that we get to see him in the last arc. Even though he maybe doesn't work for her anymore. I don't know where they stand now in the safe house. But even when he wasn't, like, officially working for her because she had dismissed him, I love that we see him jump in to action whenever he has to in order to protect her. You know, from the journalists, the ISB, all of that, he looked as though he'd never held a blaster in his life, but he was holding his own, and he was so incredibly brave. Because, you know, those journalists were just like, Senator's like, the senator has no comment at this time, and it's just like, you don't even work for her anymore. You don't even go here. And then when Cassian's getting Mon out of there, he's like, go, like, you know, I'll be okay. And I'm like, the fuck is gonna happen? I'm like, baby girl, you don't know how to fire that thing. That's just a threat. Like, you're not as threatening as you think you are. Going into the reproaching the speech. The senator speaking against Gorman in the Senate during the session. I kind of talked about this a little bit, and droids are welcome here, but of course I have to bring it up here. I find it incredibly interesting that they are mostly like non-human species, and anybody who knows me knows I loathe using that descriptor. Given the Imperial disdain for non-human species, I think there's more to it than them really believing the narrative. Rather that they have to lean into the propaganda to try and protect their people. They have to, you know, project even more patriotism than regular human senators have to. Even though it's not going to work in the long run at all, they don't have the privileges of the human senators and their worlds have. And, you know, even that human privilege is beginning to slip within the Empire because, you know, Gorman, again, rather privileged human world. I mean, on Wikipedia, it does list humans as other species. So I think the Gorlectopods might outnumber the humans. But isn't that exactly what the Gore would want, though? And it's like, what's the primary population on your planet? And they're like, Gorlectopods. It's like, anything else? Humans, I guess. We're just there, bro. Yeah. So we've seen what the Empire will do to Gorman. Human world, a privileged world. And so any safety and security that would come with that is slowly slipping away. We also have Bael's absolute mastery of politics, where he's using their own regulations against them to let Mon speak. It's great. I'm here for it. Given what we know from the Mask of Fear, Mon is the one who knows the regulations and the statecraft stuff, and Bael is the people person. Like, people want to listen to him. They're like, ooh, I want to listen to Bail Organa, which, so real. And I love the idea that he learned that from her, and then she learned from him, because Padme was, like, kind of the middle ground. She was able to do both. People liked listening to her, but she also knew her shit. And so now they're just like, you know what? With Padme gone, we need to be the Padme. The Padme is the friends that we made along the way. We should go cry over her, actually. And when we last see Bael, and he's just still sat in his pod, just contemplating, hoping that she's made it out, I love him. I love the relationship between Mon and Bael. I'm glad that he's one of the people who knows that Yavin needs her leadership in that moment. Because, like, again, build up from Leia, Princess of Alderaan, and Leia's thinking like, hey, yo, maybe it's not a flag we'll rally behind, but a person. And maybe it's Mon Mothma. And I'm like, bet. Let's go. Mon's speech. So fucking profound in all of its brilliance. It's so good in so many ways. Dan Gilroy, hats off for your writing. Genevieve O'Reilly, hats off for your acting. I knew this moment was going to take my breath away, make me cry. It was one of my most anticipated scenes in this entire season, if not the show, and I was not disappointed. I was worried a little bit because I'd done so much in my head to hype it up, and you know how, like, when you spend all that time hyping something up in your head and then you get it in real life and it's like, oh, this isn't as great as I thought it was going to be. I did not experience that. So, that's great. My mind remains blown from this. The absolute relevance not only to the context of this series, the franchise, but also our real world speaks volumes that they're not, this volume, not subtle in the slightest, much like the rest of this show. I love how everything is so overt in Andor. Yeah, there are things that you can read into and theorize about and speculate, but you'll never need to guess where this show stands. Unless you're stupid. And at the end of the day, that's not my fault. That's not Tony Gilroy's fault. That's not the actor's fault. That's you trying to twist this pro-revolution message into, oh, well, I mean, obviously it's about this. And it's like, are you dumber than a bar of soap with a bunch of stray pubes on it? Like, and again, Star Wars has this problem as a franchise. The world has this problem where, you know, you can be beat in the head with a message and some people still won't get it. And unfortunately, intelligent people are forced to see and hear the opinions of these people constantly. Because you block one, 5 more idiots show up. And it's like, I don't want anything to do with you. Leave me alone. Anyways, yeah, this is the moment we've been waiting for. And oh my God, it's great. Andor has had some pretty brilliant monologues and speeches, but nothing could ever top this one. I don't think any, in my opinion, nothing will ever top this for me. It is one of the greatest speeches in Star Wars history, and it's been nearly 50 freaking years. And right off the back of that, we get Mon and Cassian meeting for the first time, which is great. And I think he does a really good job of how he tries to gain her trust through speaking about where he was the day before, mentioning Vel, not just sticking to the code phrase that he had been given, right? And this is a moment where Mon has to be incredibly careful with who gets her trust. And she thinks that she just lost one of the people that she trusted the most, even though he would never leave her side. Cassian does an excellent job of trying to keep her calm, even though this is genuinely terrifying on its own, even without the added layer of the fact that, oh, she knows what it's like in Imperial custody. She has been tortured and drugged by the Empire. She knows what will happen if she ends up getting arrested. This will be worse for her than any other arrest because this was overt treason against the Empire. This isn't a warning. This isn't a warning arrest. This isn't just a questioning. This is the end of the line. If she doesn't make it out, this is the end of the line. Not just for her, but for all of the people around her. Because if she gets arrested, it all comes down. There's nothing that they can do because she knows too much. Yeah. And then, of course, Mon Mothma's absolute brilliance. We have her fast thinking when Cassian's like realizing that they're trapped, and she, again, has spent most of her life in this building. She knows her way around it. This point was made earlier, so of course it's going to come up. You know, Clea mentions like, oh, like Mothma knows the building, right? Mon literally is like, you know, I don't have very many memories that predate my arrival in this chamber. Like, you've been there. When you've been there for so long, it feels like another home to you. And even in the Mask of Fear, she already feels that way about the Senate, right? It's sheer brilliance, sheer brilliance. The women in this series, once again, really, they're the heroes. Yeah, Cassian and Erskine and the men had their roles in getting Mon out of there, but they wouldn't have made it out without her. You know, she isn't a damsel in distress even when she's in shock or frightened. Also, it is completely natural for Mon to be shocked when 2 people have been shot right in front of her in the name of her protection in the span of like minutes, right? Especially because she's a person who dislikes violence in general. And she has a connection to Cloris, whether or not she likes him as a person. That is somebody who has been driving her around for 3 years now, right? You're going to have a connection with a person that has worked with you for 3 years, watching them just get shot, that's gonna freaking sit with you. Especially if somebody shot them to protect you. She's a person that abhors violence. She hates it. And yet, it's just so good. Yeah. Anyways, with regards to Mon Mothma memes, there are very few people that I trust to make them, and they're the people that I know understand the point of them. Right, because I'm like, if you're just making this into a meme, like, do you understand why this is happening? Or are you just stupid? And you're going to use this to tear down her character. It feels a little bit gatekeepy at times, but I should be allowed to slightly gatekeep Mon Mothma. Because, you know, if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. With some people, I've forgotten more about Mon Mothma than they will ever know. I don't have room in my brain for all of this knowledge, but it's there. Yeah. I, again, really intend to do a full breakdown of all of Mon's speeches at some point in time. I'm really hoping that I'll be able to get started on those this summer, but I do have a lot of really big content plans in general, so it might be slightly later than that, but it will be coming. In the meantime, I will be talking about this speech in several friends' podcasts and YouTube channels because... And they're like, oh, Mon Mothma did something. You! Come here! And I'm like, okay. Alright, yeah. You gotta call up Mon Mothma to do the Mon Mothma stuff. I get it. The Melshi reveal, fantastic. No notes. But what I do need is for him to start going around base 1, asking if anyone knows where he can find Keith Gergo. It's really sad to me that we're not going to see the Keith and Melshi reunion play out, and I keep finding myself wishing we had more time with these characters and with this show. But isn't that the point? Isn't that the point? We never have enough time with the people that we love. So thanks for that, Andor. Another important lesson to impart on us before you go. I'm not coping with the end of this show. One of the last things I'm going to talk about is the safe house bits. Erskine opening that door and immediately asking Mon if she's all right, and she's just like, and he just like, you know, just is like, it just touches her arm and is like, oh, thank fuck, you're actually alive. But just in my mind, like, he was panicking about her, and Clea was this close to knocking his little ass out. I need Mon and Erskine to hug in the last arc. That is what I want. I need it more than oxygen. Of course, there is work to be done, but I feel as though they're going to make strides in Mon trusting Erskine again, because they kind of already were at that point in Secret Cargo. She was like, I'm going to do my little speech, and Erskine's like, can I be there? And she's like, yeah, of course you can, bestie. You and Hera, my new besties. And Erskine's like, take that bail. I'm her bestie. Yeah. The way that these safe house scenes blend almost seamlessly with Secret Cargo in my mind. I really do wish we got to see the part where Mon goes to Chandrila that was talked about, but it's fine. It's canon in my mind because it's an Andor scene and it's referenced in Rebels as well. So, voila, it's canon. And I will treat it as such. Just like I treat the deleted scenes from Revenge of the Sith, because the Mask of Fear basically canonized those. Yay! My life is ruined. Mon asking Clea about Luthen, talking to Cassian casually. She's just really one of them now. And with regards to, like, the Luthen part, she may have had her trust in him broken, but she still cares about him, like, obviously. He was something of a friend, even if he wasn't the friend that she really deserved. And he definitely could have been a better friend to her. Like, damn, dude. He's also really incredible, really incredible, and he's super important to what they're doing. And most everyone in that safe house has a connection to him. Everyone in that safe house has a connection to Luthen. Through one way or another. Yeah. Mon was always meant to be with these people in this moment. And I'm always going to live for the bit of, I'm not sure how to thank you, make it worth it. I'm sure that these words stuck with Mon forever, and I really hope that we get to see more Mon and Cassian stuff in the future. She was never going to let Cassian's sacrifices or the sacrifices of any of the rebels around her, all of those who died, be forgotten or let them have died in vain. She truly cares about these people, and it's why she does what she does. She's just that great. Bix making that choice to put the rebellion over her happiness. She literally saved the galaxy by doing that. I cannot stress it enough. The women are the heroes of this series. Like with B2 Emo, I would rather never see Bix again than have to deal with something happening to her. Hasn't she been through enough? Like I said, Bix on a beach somewhere drinking a fruity little cocktail. She deserves it. Because I can't do it. I can't lose her. I won't do it. Her goodbye to Cassian's probably going to come up again, and it brings tears to my eyes every single time I think about it or watch it. Bix says that she's not brave because she can't say goodbye in person, and yet she's one of the bravest characters in this series. And then you take that shot of Diego as Cassian in that shirt with the sun in the background and the wind, and all of it speaks to his end, while the voiceover with Bix is her telling him that she'll find him when it's over. Please. I can't take it anymore. I can't take any more of this pain. But also, what was it with women in this episode leaving a man that they were close to and doing it to make a choice for the betterment of the rebellion? Please. Mon and Bix, who would have been besties, I can't handle it here in this Star Wars right now. It's just broken me. K2's birth scene is gorgeous. I love it. I cannot wait to see the two of them in action together. That was a meet cute, for sure. I just love the way that they were describing it as a meet cute. They really did deliver on that in the ways that matter. I do like that they ended this emotionally devastating arc with this moment, because it was, for me, like, the moment of levity, like, the only moment of levity I felt in this entire arc. And I still can't help but wonder, K2, a droid that I love, is he the KX unit on my hit list for what happened to Enza? I want to know, but I'm scared to know. Enza did not deserve that at all. That is it for now. My review of The Mask of Fear with Gold Squadron Gaze has dropped, so you can find that where pods are cast. 12th of May, which is today. It's very soon. I don't even know. There's no chance that this is going to be uploaded and everything. Anyways, Ion Canon. I was there, or am there right now. Whatever. I was hoping to get to this earlier, but I'm on the verge of a non-happy time episode, thanks to Andor. And I'm talking about this exact thing, the third arc of Andor. Yeah. Because this is my life. And I'm happy about it. I love chatting about Andor. Also, check out Droids Are Welcome here. I've done 3 episodes thus far talking about Andor Season 2. I talked about Episode 2, Sagrona Tima, Episode 6. I don't remember the name of. And Episode 9, Welcome to the Rebellion. And I'll be back for Episode 11, I think, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure how many are out yet, but nevertheless, go check them out. I'm planning some really cool stuff coming for the summer, which I'm working on now, and those things will be announced in time after Andor. As always, you can find me on social media at Bejeweled Mothma and Mothma Updates. Thank you, and remember, the galaxy is watching.